We're here today to discuss a crash that happened in the city of Charlottesville on March 17th, 2021. Do you understand that?
I understand. That's why I'm here.
So if we can turn our attention to the crash that happened on March 17th, 2021 here in the city of Charlottesville.
Yes, sir.
And do you recall being in a crash that day in the city of Charlottesville?
No.
Is it your understanding that that crash happened on Lane Road in the city of Charlottesville?
I have no recollection of any of it.
But have you learned any information or gained an understanding?
I've looked into it, yeah, of course.
And based on what you looked into, is it your understanding that the crash happened on Lane Road in the city?
I believe so.
Can you explain in your words what happened on that day on March 17th, 2021 that caused this crash?
Not anything.
Do you recall anything at all about the crash?
No.
Do you recall anything about that day, which is March 17th, 2021?
I don't remember anything at all about that time period.
What is the last memory you have from before March 17th, 2021?
Oh, Lord. I mean, there was no events that are of any significance that I could recall.
But did you lose memory for a period of time from before that? I'm trying to figure out if you just don't remember that day or if you lost months, years.
No. I lived in a house. I do projects, mechanical projects, lawn maintenance, this kind of stuff. Nothing significant that, I had no event that stands out, one day over another. I'm retired. If I don't remember, I don't remember. I mean, I just don't remember. I'm sincere.
And what I'm trying to find out is if you were dealing with gaps in your memory from before March 17th, 2021, or if that was a prolonged thing that went for weeks, months, even years, if you remember anything before March 21st, 2020, March 17th, 2021.
Well, of course I do.
Okay, can you tell me what makes you confident that you have a memory of events before March 17th, 2021? Well,
what is before March 17th, sir?
Anything before March 17th, 2021.
I remember getting married. I remember being in the service. All kinds of things. I remember childhood. No, I haven't lost decades. I can't remember basically that day, perhaps even the day after, with any clarity.
Have you been able to piece together what happened on March 17, 2021 based on conversations you've had with anyone else or documents you've read or things you've seen or anything like that?
To a point, yes. I mean, I don't recall any of them, but anecdotally from various pieces of information that have come to me, I realize what perhaps I was doing. I don't recall them, but I assume they're correct.
So can you tell me what some of those pieces of information are?
I've learned that I believe that I was going to the medical center for an MRI. I don't recall that, but that's what I've been instructed or told.
Whatever you were going for, did you set that appointment up?
Presumably, if that's correct, I don't even know if it's correct, but assuming that information is correct, with the medical people's input, I would have set that up, and whether that was, I don't know. But I mean, I wouldn't, I didn't decide to do this myself. Somebody referred me to do it, I assume. I have no way of knowing. I don't recall the day at all.
And so what I'm asking is, before March 17th, 2021, do you recall establishing an appointment
No.
for March 17th,
I do
2021?
not.
And before March 17th, 2021, do you recall meeting with a doctor who suggested that you needed to have an appointment on March 17th, 2021?
I don't recall who suggested I do this, or how I would. You're asking a question that I really can't honestly and under oath answer, because I don't know how that was established.
You mentioned family medicine. Was that your primary care provider?
That's my primary care. That's where I get inoculations. I go in for annual checkups. If I were sick, I would go to them.
So was family medicine your primary care provider on or around March 17th, 2021?
Yes, sir.
What is your first memory after the March 17th, 2021 crash?
I assume, it's a long time ago. My first memory was, probably being at home. I can't recall any real special events or anything that took place.
Do you remember being hospitalized after the March 17th crash?
No.
And so that any time that you were in the hospital after the March 17th, 2021 crash, you do not recall?
No, yes. Well, I guess it's a yes and no question. I knew that I'd been in the hospital. I was released from the hospital and came home.
Do you recall being in the hospital?
Well, intermittently.
Okay, so
I knew I was in a hospital bed at some point.
Is it your understanding that on March 17, 2021, you were driving your Toyota Tacoma immediately before this crash happened?
That's what I've been told.
And
I don't recall it.
is it your understanding that on March 17, 2021, your Toyota Tacoma was stopped at a stop sign on Lane Road in Charlottesville?
I don't know. I know that I had an accident. I don't recall driving there. I don't know why I was going in a car, or for that matter in Charlottesville. I don't really get in there very often.
Have you spoken with any of your doctors about the March 17, 2021 crash?
No.
You've never spoken with any medical doctors?
Oh, doctor, at UVA, he's aware of what happened. That's why I was referred to him.
Have you gained an understanding of what happened on March 17, 2021 that caused this crash?
I don't know that no.
Have you tried to figure out from your doctors what happened that caused you to lose consciousness and caused this crash on March 17, 2021?
It was some kind of episode. That's why I'm on various medications, Keppra being the primary one.
Were you on Keppra before March 17, 2021?
I do not believe so. I don't know when that was prescribed. I believe it was prescribed after that.
Did you take any drugs or alcohol in the morning?
No.
How do you know that?
I don't use drugs at all, and I don't rarely use alcohol. I wouldn't say I would never, but I don't drink by and large.
Were you seeing a neurologist around the time period of March 17, 2021?
No. I don't believe.
Do you know if you spoke with anyone after the crash?
I have no idea.
So you don't know if you spoke with the police officer after the crash?
I don't know if I was even able to speak. I don't remember any of it at all.
This wasn't the first time you had lost consciousness unexpectedly, correct?
Apparently not.
And I think it was about a month before, on February 18th, 2021, a similar thing happened while you were driving?
I have been informed of that, yes.
Do you remember that event at all?
No.
And do you remember anything from February 18th, 2021?
What is February 18th?
That was the date of the previous crash, I'm sorry.
No, I don't.
And is it your understanding that you were driving a vehicle that day, you went off the road into an embankment because you lost consciousness while you were driving?
That's what I was informed.
And I believe you had no recall of what happened that day?
That is correct.
And I believe your earliest memory was waking up in the emergency room?
Probably.
And you were hospitalized after the February 18th, 2021 crash?
You'd have to refer to the records on that. I don't know how long I was there.
And I think in your medical records you indicated that you did not have any recollection about that crash.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And I think you indicated that you did not remember even getting in your car on February 18th, 2021?
That is correct.
But you were aware and you became aware that you had been in a crash on February 18th, 2021, even though you didn't recall it?
Yes, of course.
Now, do you recall your doctors recommending to you after that February 18th, 2021 crash that you should not drive for 6 months?
No.
And if if your doctors were to have said that they advised you not to drive for 6 months after that February 18th, 2021 crash, is it your testimony that they did not say that?
No, I'm saying I don't. It certainly wasn't impressed upon me. I got no correspondence from DMV saying I couldn't drive or shouldn't drive. I'd have no correspondence that I've been able to locate that from any physician that said anything to the same amount. If somebody verbally told me, I don't recall it.
Okay.
You know, I play the game. My license is suspended now. I don't drive.
How did you get here today?
My companion drove me.
Did you ever figure out what happened to cause you to pass out while you were driving on February 18th, 2021?
No, I didn't know. No.
Did you speak with any doctors after February 18th, 2021 to try to figure out why you passed out while you were driving?
I didn't know I passed out. I had an accident.
And tell me everything you did to try to figure out why the February 18th, 2021 accident occurred.
Well, I was in dealing with doctors after the accident. They recommended an EEG. I believe I had an MRI in there somewhere. Apparently there was some. They wanted to check in thoroughly. How they came to their conclusions, I don't know.
And so the EEG that you were going to on March 17, 2021, was that something that was recommended as a result of the February 18th, 2021 crash you had been in?
I don't know what their thought process was to recommend an EEG. I'm not exactly sure what an EEG is, but it's some kind of check on the head.
As of March 17th, 2021, your doctors were still trying to figure out what caused you to lose consciousness while you were driving on February 18th, 2021?
Okay, we're talking about the 1 month prior to the March event.
Correct.
Okay. Presumably. I mean, they had me going in apparently at 9:45 a.m. that date to get an EEG at University Medical Center. So presumably they did. Again, I don't know why they ordered that, but they must have been, they had suspicion that I had some problems underlying. After the March event, I was dealing with Dr. With neurology at UVA.
And so then before March 17, 2021, your doctors weren't able to explain what had happened in the February 18, 2021 crash.
In the 30 days prior to the March, when I think they were still doing tests and evaluating,
and
to the best of my knowledge.
And did you make any changes in your diet, medication, use of alcohol, exercise, or anything else between February 18, 2021 and March 17, 2021?
No, I pretty much continued the same way. I don't use alcohol much, and none at all now. But then it was only, rarely, and I always kind of watching my weight, trying not to eat too many desserts and ice cream and that kind of stuff. But
it's a challenge.
That's a challenge. It is, yes, sir.
And
I get lots of exercise.
What do you do for exercise?
I have my land is 29 acres wide. I split wood, do all kinds of stuff. Chop trees, mow lawns. It's a bush hog.
And so after the February 18th, 2021 crash, you received a letter from the Department of Motor Vehicles?
The March 21?
February 18th, 2021 crash.
No, I don't believe I did. I may have, but I was not suspended.
So
What you guys have?
May I see it?
yes, so here's a document that's marked as Deposition Exhibit Number 1. And on the top, it's letterhead from the Department of Virginia, Commonwealth of Virginia, Department of Motor Vehicles, dated February 24th, 2021.
Oh, yes, I complied with this.
This letter that you're looking at, did you receive a copy of this February 24th, 2021 letter?
I couldn't tell you. This is where I have to send them let me read the medical. This was complied with.
Okay, so let me ask you a couple of questions about it. So you say that the February 24th, 2021 letter was complied with. When did you receive it?
I have no idea.
Okay, but you acknowledge that you did receive that letter?
I believe I have a copy of this one with that customer number. Just off the top of my head, I believe I've read this before. They sent with this the forms that they needed to be filled out, including an eye exam, which I already had. I just picked that up from the eye doctor, took it to medicine. I believe that's where it was, and it was completed and sent back in, and I didn't have a problem.
And so you knew with this February 24th, 2021 letter that the DMV was questioning whether you were safe to drive a motor vehicle?
No, that isn't how I interpreted this.
Well, the first sentence says the Department of Motor Vehicles is in receipt of information concerning your ability to safely operate a motor vehicle.
Yes.
And so at least there was a question about your ability.
And they wanted to have a doctor's evaluation, which I complied with.
And you were asked to give the letter to your medical doctor?
To give the forms to my medical doctor, who completed the forms, and apparently this is actually, according to them, is fairly common with senior people.
And so this letter asked your doctor to provide information about any blackout experiences that
Whatever
you have?
it requested, it was complied with. They filled the whole thing out and faxed it into DMV.
What doctor was it who completed that form?
It was the family medicine. They were, Dr. had recently left, so I'm not sure which doctor completed that at that point.
But you did bring it to the family medicine and ask them to complete it?
Yes, sir.
This February 24th letter specifically wanted your doctor to provide information about the blackout episode that occurred on February 18th?
If that's, again, I don't get into the hows and whys. This is what they wanted. They completed what was required, sent it in. There was no question at that point, apparently. I didn't receive nothing else from DMV until after the March incident, where what was then suspended.
Did you speak with your doctor about this February 24th, 2021 letter from the DMV?
Well, I brought it to them, yes.
And did you actually speak to someone at family medicine?
Yes.
And you don't remember who that was?
No, I can't even recall the names of I'm not even sure who my current doctor. They're kind of playing musical chairs with doctors over there now. I'm trying to get Dr. Martin, who I really like, as my, I think he's the head guy over there now, but I did talk to Dr. at some point in one of these events, but...
Do you recall when you spoke with Dr.
Not the date, no, sir.
And do you know if it was before or after March 17th, 2021?
Oh, this was before March 17th, this letter.
And
this is February 24th.
Do you recall what you discussed with the doctor and what the doctor said?
No. I mean, it was just general stuff. How do you, kind of a physical sort of deal, how do you feel? Like now I feel fine. I'd just rather not be here. But.
And so you then were provided a notice in order from the DMV the next day on February 25th?
For what?
Well, let me hand it to you. You can mark this as Exhibit 2.
You're welcome. Yeah, well, that's part of this thing too. I didn't realize it was the following day.
And so
this is I beg your pardon.
So wait, just for the record. So right now I'm handing you a document that's marked as Exhibit 2. It's on DMV letterhead dated February 25th, 2021. It says, it's to you, saying official notice / order of suspension. And do you recall receiving a copy of this February 25th letter and notice?
I do not recall this, but I accept it.
And this reiterated that you needed to provide an acceptable medical report to the DMV? Yes,
which they already had. I mean, these apparently crossed in line. They had the report that I had sent them, or that had been faxed to them. So this was basically, I called them up, as I recall, and verified that I had indeed complied. This had a date, I forget what the date was.
Do you?
I had to have it in by 3/27.
Correct. And it's your understanding that that was provided by March 27th?
I know it was provided. I was there when they faxed it.
So you were in the office, the doctor's office at the time they faxed the medical report to the DMV?
Correct. I mean, I didn't see them fax it, but they took it into fax. They assured me that they were getting it directly out, and I said, so I am in compliance now. The answer was yes.
And your doctor, did your doctor suggest that you make any changes to your medications after February 18, 2021?
Not that I recall.
Do you recall if they gave you any new prescriptions after February 18, 2021?
I'd rather not. I don't know, so I'd rather not say yes or no on that if that's okay.
Do you not know, or you don't remember?
I don't know whether they made a change on it per se. I mean, that's 3 years ago, and I've had any number of changes of medications. I mean, they added a statin at one point, which has nothing to do with this. It's a blood pressure thing.
So after the February 18, 2021 crash where you lost consciousness while driving, and you had this follow-up appointment with the doctor, did the doctor give you any information or their opinion as to why they believed you lost consciousness while driving?
No.
Now, do you agree that prior to February 18th, 2021, you had about a 6-month history of memory loss and forgetting important events?
We're talking a matter of degree here. Do you remember a name from 10 years ago? You remember their first name but not their last? No, I don't have a recollection of having significant memory loss.
But if someone noted perhaps that you had an unusual increase in the 6 months before February 2021, would you agree or disagree with that?
That would be their opinion.
Do you know if there's anything that you observed or recalled that might justify that opinion or support that opinion?
Nothing significant, no. I mean, forgetting names, I didn't forget events, if that's what you mean, or, when to show up at appointments or all of that. I like most people, I'm using an electronic calendar now, but 30 years ago I used a regular calendar. I write it in pen, so you don't forget that on a certain date. And I've always used, if you will, crutches to. I'm sure you do too. You had an appointment today, and you had it on your calendar, did you not? You didn't leave it to your memory.
Do you recall having a blackout one time while you were speaking with your son on the phone?
No, sir.
And if he were to say that happened, would you have any reason to question the truth of that or the correctness of that?
I would have no comment one way or the other. I have no idea whether the phone went dead or I blacked out or I got for whatever reason. I don't know.
Do you recall having your son tell you that you blacked out while you were on a phone call with him?
I don't recall that, no.
And I think you acknowledged during your hospital stay in February 2021 that you tend to forget things?
I forget certain things, yes, sir.
But had you noticed that that was happening with increased frequency?
I didn't notice it as being increased, per se, no.
Had you noticed that it was a problem, whereas in the past it had not been a problem?
Not really.
And do you know then why your medical records indicated that you said that you had been forgetting things?
I have forgotten things. I'm just, but that is to say that it was. You could forget things without it being problematic, if you will.
But you were indicating in your medical records that perhaps it was starting to become problematic?
Perhaps. I couldn't. Yeah, when you talk to your doctor, you tell them everything that you believe that they should know. And I had noticed that I had forgotten a few things, none of which were terribly important, but that, and I thought they should know that.
I'm just going to show you some photos. And the first is a vehicle up against a tree, silver vehicle. Is that your truck in this picture?
It appears to be, yes, sir.
And is it, do you agree that these photos that are attached here were taken on March 17, 2021?
Presumably. I don't recall that. I never saw these pictures before, ever.
And so are you seeing these for the first time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and is it, do you have any reason to disagree that these were taken the day of the event that we're here to discuss today on March 17th?
You're honest, man. You would tell me the truth.
Okay. Mr. Catano might object to that.
No. Even though you're attorneys.
Especially, no, he didn't say that. Strike that. We need to get that off the record and everything.
Mr. Burns is held with the highest esteem.
Actually, I didn't realize there was this kind of damage, and I didn't even know it hurt. I didn't even know I had hurt anybody until I had. Pardon me. I didn't even know I had hurt anybody. I thought I had gone off. Everything was hearsay. I didn't know that I had hurt anybody. I didn't even know I'd had this accident until DMV suspended my license. I mean, I thought it was because I had another episode and I was dealing with doctor. I mean, I didn't. Go ahead.
We can take a break if you want.
No, I'm fine.
You sure?
Yeah, absolutely, yes, sir.
So it's been about 3 years since this crash happened.
Yes, sir.
Have you gotten any answers as to what may have caused you to lose consciousness on those dates?
Not really. The doctors are, I mean, they haven't given me a prognosis of what my situation is, or at least that I've understood. I'm taking medication pretty well. It seems to they just changed it the other day, day before yesterday. to increase the CAPRA, which is the leading antidote, if you will, for this event. And I'm, hopefully things are straightening out. I'm not having problems at home. I seem to be fine.
Have you been involved in any other crashes
No,
since March 17th?
No, I don't drive.
Okay. So we talked about the March 17th, 2021 accident where you were driving and you blacked out. And we talked about the February 21st, 2021 accident where you were driving and blacked out, both of which resulted in crashes. Is that a yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I beg your pardon.
And I was looking at your February 18, 2021 medical records. Was there another incident beside those two incidents where you had a blackout event while you were driving?
Not that I'm aware of. No, I had a motorbike. I had a slide on a motorbike, a moped.
Do you remember what happened in that crash?
I slid off, I turning into my driveway and slid to the side and fell in the grass. But it's gravel, so it's not the end of the, that didn't, I assumed that was just driver error, if you will.
And are you aware of, other than March 17, 2021 and February 18, 2021, any other times that you've blacked out?
Not really. I mean, I've had perhaps an incident at home where I've nothing motor vehicle related, but yes, I play the game according to what I'm instructed. If I'm suspended, I don't drive. I take the medications that I've been prescribed. I basically follow orders. What people tell me, people who are knowledgeable, my attorney, my doctors, what they suggest. Why they're doing some of these things, I don't know.
Before March 17th, 2021, had anybody expressed similar concerns to you that you may have had a similar incident where you blacked out or lost consciousness?
Yes, sir. To include the February one.
What do you mean by that?
I didn't know that I had blacked out at the February 21st one. I just thought I had a motor accident.
But you don't recall any aspect of the February 2021 crash?
No.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you, sir.